Hey guys, welcome back. This is Vilisink again, and it is, of course, a Raid Shadows video. So in this video, we are in campaign because there's a lot of champions. We will be covering the rare champions that are potentially good, some not as much. So let's get this information out to you. Let's take a look at all the stages and find out, because some of these champions will go to endgame, some will not. Let's find out, guys. So first and foremost, let's take a look at Conqueror. He is a banner lord. A1 attacks one enemy 2 times, so that kinda sucks. Nothing really happening there. Attacks one enemy, removes 2 random buffs from one target, which could potentially have magic keep written all over it. Attacks one enemy, enemy is killed, so it's got a block revive, so for magic keep, Conqueror is okay. He is, I don't think you'll use him past maybe mid game because you will have other champions by that point. But while we're here, Banner Lords have somebody called Valerie. Now, you may have seen Valerie recently. Content creators will use her in Scarab King. They will just tell you that she's good in general, and she is. So let's take a look. Kind of basic A1, attacks one enemy. Nothing really special there, that kind of sucks too. So it increases the duration of all buffs on allies by 1 turn. Also decreases the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn, then places the small version increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. So depending on where you are, she will increase shields, increase the speed buff you've got, extend your increased defense, extend any buff you've got, and if you're unlucky enough to have poison decreased defense weaken, she will basically just nullify them. If there's 1 turn left, they will, well, they should disappear. So basically she can strip if they have 1 turn left. But this is really good for a farmable champion. It's really nice. And protect. She places a shield buff on pardon me, all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield depends on this champion's level. Heals each ally according to the number of buffs they are currently under. So if you have somebody that can throw up loads of buffs, let's just say, for the sake of it, Mausoleum Mage. Let's just, first name comes to mind with buffs, Mos Mage. The heal will be bigger for more buffs, and the shield is good anywhere. Team Tower, Faction Crypts, Arena even, early game. She is a really good champion. She also has a Faction Crypts aura, in which she increases ally HP. So if you're looking for somebody good that can potentially go past mid game, go K-Rock Castle, pick up Valerie. Conqueror is not really too special, to be honest, not too great on him. Scottsborn. Now, Scottsborn you may have seen because people will have Skull Lord Vargal, and this guy was in a fusion in which there was 16 of them. I tried to do the fusion because I thought it was kind of cool. And I got like 10 or 11. I never got enough because you kind of have to hope that this champion will drop. But we'll take a look at his moves. So he's got a double hitter, 20% chance of placing an extra hit, which goes to 30% and nothing special. Cry for Blood, increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns, and he has a counter attack on it, which kind of makes them pretty good if you have Skill Lord Vargal, because they can just counter, and if they die, Vargal obviously will just take them back to life. They'll increase speed, counter attack, so he does have a use. His passive, Feral Hunter, fills his turn meter by 15% on crit hits, which any turn meter increase is welcome. Fills this champion's turn meter by 50% if this champion kills an enemy, so you may kill someone, you may not, but either way, you get a turn meter increase, you get increased speed, counter attack. The A1 is not necessarily too great. You may get an extra hit, you may not, it's RNG. And he also has an ally speed in Faction Crypts aura. It goes up by 13%. Scottsborn is he's okay. I've seen people use him in Arena, and they can be annoying even if Skull is not there, because all of the counter attacks will add up eventually. So he isn't that bad. He's a decent enough champion. I would say mid game, if you've got Vargal, then end game. Actually, if you've got Skull Vargal, you can take him and 4 Scottsborns, level 30s, level 40s, and you can walk through 21. Because you will keep reviving them. They will keep counter attacking and whatnot, like add shield sets in there. Then you're bound to have a laugh. So Scottsborn, mid potential for end of faction wars if you have other champions to go with them. Now when we go to stage 3, Catacombs of Narbuk, we have Sorceress. Sorceress has a 30% chance, placing the small version decreased speed for 2 turns on one enemy, which is nothing fantastic. Attacks one enemy 2 times, a chance of getting an extra turn, nothing fantastic. Attacks 3 times at random each hit. So it's 3 random hits to put on decreased defense, which is nothing special. So I do not see somewhere that you would really use her. You could, but she's not necessarily that good. We have somebody. Let's go to this first, because the aura is potentially why you will see this champion in arena very early. People farm this champion for her speed aura. It's all battles, so you can take her in wherever you want. 10% increase. That's why you'll see them very early game before they get like an apothecary or somebody else. So what else I should do? She attacks one enemy, heals by 50% of damage inflicted. It's not that bad, helps her sustain herself, so nothing wrong with that. 50% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, which is good for arena, as I was saying. And Dark Gift is a good move as well. Removes all debuffs on all allies. Basically a cleanse, then she gives you block debuffs for 1 turn. Which is, block debuffs is extremely strong. Saves poisons, counter attack, provoke, all of that stuff. So Spirit Host is a good champion if you're in Durham Forest. She is probably up to mid game, or just before mid game, because you'll get better champions. The block debuffs kind of makes it a little bit better. And while we're in this place, we have Greybeard, who I actually quite like the look of. On his A1, he'll attack an enemy attacks one enemy, sorry. 50% chance placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. That's pretty good. Provoke will help you clear waves. Or you could take him in, like I say, arena as faction crypts. If you just started the game, we now have Doom Tower, so provoke could work there as well. So provoke is pretty strong for an A1. Ice Crush attacks all enemies. 25% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Damage inflicted is proportional to defense, so you make him tanky, give him lots of defense, and he will do more damage, but he will also have 40% chance on a 3-turn cooldown to freeze everybody. Having this guy early will help you in arena campaign, because that freeze will hit. It will slow the enemies down, and it will just give you enough time to progress. Greybeard is a decent champion. So we're on the right move here. Let's crush. Okay, bring it on. Places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns. 80% chance of placing a counter attack buff for 2 turns. And he has a shield proportional to his defense, which cannot be resisted. So I like the cannot be removed part, so you cannot cleanse it off. The counter attack will kind of work good if you've got this move here, the provoke, so there is a bit of, not unity, but utility for his kit. And he will increase allied defense in dungeons by 30%. Overall, a pretty strong champion, so if you happen to go to Durham Forest, there is 2 rare champions that are actually really good and worth having. So Rocktooth. Rocktooth Grab, level 1, attacks when enemy, places it next to a hit if it's a crit hit, which is kind of boring. Places a small version increased crit rate buff on all allies. No, we can do better. Places a heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Potentially in one of the keeps. Otherwise, I'm not necessarily thrilled with the champion. I don't see you using him. So we won't stay there long. Next up we have Avenger. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense. So it booked at a 50% chance to place the small version of decreased defense, but it's a single person, so not necessarily great. Attacks at random 2 times, 50% chance of inflicting a crit, so give it 85% crit rate, it'll work, but otherwise nothing special. Attacks one enemy, this skill always inflicts a critical hit, so if you have one, what you can do is you can give her no crit rate and just stonk her crit damage. I'm not sure her multipliers are that great, but that's really the only part of her kit that looks good. Also increases ally attack and fashion crits by 70%, so apart from maybe having one big hit in her, she is not necessarily too great. Ares attacks one enemy with bullseye, grants an extra turn if the target is killed. I mean, yeah, potentially. Not brilliant, but where are we? Exhortation, thought of the word there, could not figure it out. Removes one random debuff from all allies. Has a 60% chance of placing this big version increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. So the fact will remove one debuff from all allies, which is really good. Strong kind of move. 60% chance goes to 100% chance of increasing your speed, so it's an okay A2. Counter attacks at attacker when an ally is attacked. That's pretty decent. And it increases speed in dungeons by 16%, so Ares you can use potentially up to mid game, but I wouldn't really see any use to go any further. Next up we have Goremask with the Sergeant Slaughter chin. Look at this big ass chin right there. So attacks one enemy 2 times with snap, which is kind of boring. Damage increases by 20% if that attack is critical, which is nothing great. Attacks one enemy will ignore shield and block damage buffs. That potentially makes him really good just to be a niche champion. You could keep a Goremask, you could ascend him, and it could be just like Death Hound. So that's pretty much the only part of his kit that's actually really good. It increases your HP in arena battles by 25%, so his only credit is that he can go into arena, ignore shield and block damage, and maybe nuke someone. Apart from that, he's he would be, I mean, I never used him. I think there's better champions, but he's a niche champion you could use early game if you pull him, I guess. You could have fun in arena, but we'll leave that up to you guys. You can decide this one. We have in the Valdemar Strait Templar. Charge. Pardon me. It attacks one enemy. 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Damage inflicted is proportional to defense. So make him really high in defense. And then he will do a bigger hit. Decreased speed is not really the worst A1. Attacks 4 times at random on the A2 taunt. Each hit has a 25% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. He also places block damage on himself. Damage again is inflicted proportional to defense. So taunt has some use, probably not past early mid game. He will provoke everybody. He will take 0 damage due to his buff, while teammates can kick some butt, but reading that he isn't really fantastic. I'd probably rather have Goremask just to have a niche champion. Now, we've got to the Deadlands in Berserker. Berserker can hit, boys. The Barbarian attack champion. Attacks one enemy with all out attack. Fills this champion's turn rate by 30% if it's a crit hit. Give him 100% crit rate. And every single time it does an A1, he'll get 30% turn meter back, so decent. Grants an extra turn if the enemy is killed with Havoc, which is just on a single person to a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, it's an okay move. I've seen people using this champion and doing reviews on him. And then we have Sweep. AoE 2 times will ignore 20% of each target's defense, enabling him mid early in arena. Like I say, unless you want a niche champion, yeah, the ascended skill is pretty much okay. Extra turn if they kill a target, which could be okay, and turn meter increase. So not the worst champion, but I'd probably say mid. Maybe no further, because you will have stronger people by then. Now, War Maiden, the Barbarian, who is like, if Arbiter's the Queen of Raid, she's got to at least be like the auntie or like the Princess of Raid, or the stepdaughter, because War Maiden is fantastic. You can use her early game, mid game, end game. Like, you can take her into Spider for your decreased defense. You can level 20. Same with Dragon, Ice Golem. I mean, you can use Fire Knight, but if you have Stag Knight, it's irrelevant. But she is phenomenal. This is one champion. If you get that, you can use this. I still use War Maiden now, above Stag Knight, depending on affinity. She's really good, and let's find out why. So, ferocious attack, 30% chance of placing a 2.5% poison. Debuff for 1 turn, which is good no matter really where it is. Could be clan boss, could be in arena, could be sending a wave. If you get a poison up, it's a small 2.5% one, but regardless, an A1 poison is solid. A2 opportunity strike. Places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion and places an extra hit if this attack is critical. The extra hit cannot be critical, so it hits a single enemy, and then you will also give yourself increased attack. You can do 1 hit, potentially do 2 hits, so, but the second hit will not do as much damage as the first one. But realistically, the first 2 moves for War Maiden are not where you're going to use her. This is the reason she is so good. This makes War Maiden, like, just, out of the rares, she's like S tier for sure, SS for damn sure. When it comes to rares, War Maiden has to be one of the best. And it's because she has an AoE 75% chance per 100 when booked 3-turn cooldown to place the big version of decreased defense for 2 turns. The only rare to pretty much have that skill. That makes her just so much better. Cannot say enough good things about her. I mean, she'll help you just kick ass. I would love to talk about her all day, but if I do, whenever I get done with the video. So if you see War Maiden early, mid, endgame, arena, Doom Tower, faction wars, clan boss, like, doesn't matter. She works everywhere. So we go to, let me just turn my bit of paper. Godfrey's Crossing. Forgot what it was called for a second. HP rare, 30% chance of placing a buff debuff for 2 turns. I mean, that's okay. And then the 30% chance goes to 50 with a bit of a damage increase. So, but it's based on attack and HP, which is kind of stupid. They should just pick one, not the other. And block buffs isn't that bad, to be fair. Attacks one enemy with Strangle. Places a sleep debuff for 2 turns for the target. Has no active buffs. So if your target has not got a buff on them, they'll be put to sleep potentially if your accuracy is there, but sleep is kind of weak, so let's not worry about it. Herbal Balm. I like that name. places a 50% continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns if incoming damage exceeds 20% HP on attack. So he can kind of keep himself alive. You may early have use, maybe even early Lizardman faction wars, but yeah, he's not brilliant, he's not bad. Past, like, maybe just faction wars for this one in particular. Also, ally HP and faction crypts will increase by 22%, which is good. Faction crypts, you need HP to stay alive. Clan boss, it's defense. Dungeons, faction crypts, it's HP. The mixed stalker is not good, but not bad. Moving along to Flinger. There's a colourful little chap, is he? When his A1 axe throw attacks one enemy, 40% chance. Placing the small version decreased defense for 1 turn. Nope. Next, attacks all enemies. Nope. Attacks one enemy. The skill always inflicts a crit hit. Okay. Increases ally resistance and faction crypts by 30%. So potentially Lizardmen faction crypts. I wouldn't really use this champion early, mid, or end game. He just doesn't validate it. If you're struggling for faction crypts, you could potentially, if you have one, use him, but he isn't nothing to write home about. Now, when we get to Hallowed Halls, we're going to see this chap right here, Executioner, the OG. This is the OG, man. Defense based. Attacks one enemy with shield bashed. 15% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Stun is good, stun's fantastic. I love that A1. Tumult level 1. AoE decreases the turn meter by 20%. Fantastic. 50% chance of placing a decreased speed deal for 2 turns. Damage should be based on defense. I don't know why it's attack defense, that's really silly. But it's a pretty good move nonetheless. And we have Shiltron, big version increased defense and counter attack buffs on himself for 3 turns. Which means if he puts this on, he gets hit, he will just pick everybody apart. He's a really good champion. You could potentially use him past mid game as well. I've seen people do some pretty good damage with him. He's a fantastic champion, he's not to be fed. Increases ally defense in all battles by 17%. Brilliant. Defense in all battles. I'll take it any day of the week. Now we are at Brimstone Path. And we'll go to Diabolist first, because everybody knows Diabolist. Everybody has got one. Everybody has potentially used one. So, Torment. Attacks one enemy. Has a 10% chance of placing a sleep debuff for 1 turn. Forgive me. Sleep debuff. So not really good on an A1. It's not for your user though. Electric Storm is an AoE. It places the big version increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns, which is really solid. Okay, an ascended skill on positive charge fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. The like turn meter increases, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. So this is essentially a version of Lyssandra's move. It's extremely solid and absolutely nothing wrong with it. She's a very good champion and she can be used in a lot of places, potentially past mid game, closer to end, depending on how you like her. Now a Hound spawn, you can place a stun debuff for 1 turn. Adamant you can attack one enemy twice, 50% chance, placing the big version decreased defense. Yeah, nothing fantastic. AoE, but ignore defense and block damage buffs if the target has a freeze debuff. Only available when Hellfangs on the same team. So he has a synergy move, but in my opinion with Hound spawn, his best use is food, pretty much. So that summarises all of the champions that we can get from campaign. So we'll go over it. Valerie is good. Do not feed her. Keep her. Doesn't matter how long you keep her in the vault for, she's not to be fed. She's good. Conqueror, nothing really special. Scottsborn has niche uses in certain places at the start of the game to mid. Sorcerers, no thank you. Spirit Host and Greybeard from Durham Forest are really good. Both of them champions are good for Greybeard can be an end game kind of team. He still has a lot of utility. Rocktooth from Feldman's Gate, no, he can be fed. The champions from stage 6, ARS and Avenger, are not really that great. Goremask, potential to be a fun champion if he ignores all like block damage and defense, but apart from that, I've never really picked one up. Templar, nothing special. Get to Deadlands where we've seen War Maiden and Berserker. Do not feed either of them. You can get use from both of them. Muckstalker and Flinger. I mean, if you're really struggling for faction crypts, keep a hold of them, but I think I'd potentially take, well, Muckstalker maybe. If I had to use them for the faction crypts, I would, but otherwise I'd feed them. Executioner, we get from Hallowed Halls. Do not feed him, he's amazing. Well, in my experience, he can be a bit tricky to kit out, but it depends on your gear. Your situation and account will be very different. You have Hound Spawn from Brimstone Path, who is just food, and Diabolist, who is absolutely amazing. Do not feed her either. So, I hope telling you guys about the rare champions that you can farm has gave you some insight into them a bit better. Some of them are definitely worth putting your energy into. Executioner, Diabolist, War Maiden, Greybeard, Spirit Host. Some of them are worth it. So if you're just beginning and you're doing campaign and you grab one of them champions, that will be your winning lottery ticket. And with that, guys, I think we're going to cut it here. Thank you so much for while I did this for you. It was a lot of fun to go through campaign and cover the rares. I don't really think we should be covering the uncommons, but I mean, apart from Saurus, there's nothing too great there. I've been Vilisink. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon.